following are events from Reddit. Events so scary, you wish they were only in your nightmares. Viewer discretion is advised. Be careful who your neighbor is.
I made so much goddamn money in my 20s it was ridiculous. Seriously, I was making close to 15K a week in a slow week, and I was miserable. My boss at the time was a big shot, or so he thought. He was the type of guy that when things were good he took the credit. When they were bad he blamed everyone else, especially me. Real jerk. Yeah, no. So I developed stress, which led to anxiety, led to a drinking problem. By 27 I was drinking 2/3 a bottle of whiskey a night. I was miserable. I ended up breaking. I remember the day I quit. I had a conversation with my boss about my anxiety. He said to me he was surprised I lasted this long. Now to some of you that sounds like an insult, but if you knew this guy, you would know that was actually a compliment. And I quit. At that time I had a 2-story condo near New York. Beautiful thing. I decided I wouldn't be able to keep up with the mortgage, so I sold it and moved into a rundown, stinky basement apartment. The place was a dump, but I was finally happy, minus my neighbor. This guy was on so many drugs that you wouldn't believe he was alive. The problem is he always brought drug dealers, criminals, and other hooligans around. One night I remember hearing my door handle twisting like someone dead trying to get in. So I woke up and went to see what it was, but I didn't see anything. So I went to the washroom, which was by the front door. As I was going I could hear the handle start shaking. I looked through the peephole to see a man viciously trying to get in. I yelled at him if he opened this door I was going to kick this shit out of him. This made him try harder. I called the cops and they told me there was another person who had already called and they were on their way. What proceeded was 45 minutes of this drugged maniac trying to get into my apartment. He went from the door to the window, trying everything. When the cops showed up I asked them WTF took so long. They said they needed to attend to something more serious. I talked with my neighbor next day, knowing he was bringing these types of people around. I asked him if he knew the guy. He said yes, that was Dwayne. Dwayne was so high on drugs he wouldn't remember any of it. I asked why he wanted into my place and my neighbor said right before that Dwayne was talking about wanting to know what it was like to kill someone. So I jokingly said apartment 113, which was my apartment number.
I know he didn't mean for it to happen. Or so I hoped.
I was a young store manager living on my own. I had a cute little apartment. I was happy to get out and do my own thing. Because my parents were so strict I found myself rebelling. I would go out to more clubs, parties, meet guys, the things a 20-year-old shelter child would do when they move out on their own. My neighbor was a man in his 30s, not old but very socially awkward. He was the type that never expressed emotion. He never smiles. He never was upset. He was just always blank-faced, expressionless. I had some good friends, so we decided to have a party. We had few people over, maybe 10 people in total. It was a lot for the small place. Everyone was drinking and having a good time, and that's when I noticed Ron had come. Ron was Tiffany's friend. He was very aggressive and asked me out every time he could. Ron started getting touchy that night. I hated it. I am only 5'2", so not very big, and Ron was like 6'3", so he would quickly overpower me. Thankfully Tiff and the girls were there, as they also told Ron to stop and back off. That night Ron professed his love for me in front of everyone. It was so embarrassing. I felt good at the time because we all made fun of him. Like, how many times do you have to tell a guy no? Seriously? This was a mistake though. Ron left embarrassed. As he stormed out the door I noticed he walked out, and my neighbor walked in. He walked in and didn't say anything. He literally stood in the kitchen with his drink in hand and just stood there. I felt so worried I couldn't actually speak. Maybe I was too scared for no reason. After all, he didn't do anything. Maybe the weirdo just needed friends. Regardless, after about 10 minutes other people noticed and kindly asked him to leave. And he did. That was it. No problem. Until the next day, I came home and had walked in the first set of locking doors when I heard a giant slam behind me. I spun around and looked to see Ron trying to open the door. I asked him what he was doing and he said he left his wallet at my place. He wanted it back. I was so scared I told him I would go up and get it for him. Ron insisted he wanted to come up and I said no. Right then I realized my creepy neighbor was standing there, just watching this go down. Calmly, he looked at me and asked if we should let him in. I yelled no, but he looked at Ron and back to me with no expression. I told him I would go get his wallet and be back. I went up into my place to get Ron's wallet. I was there for maybe 2 minutes. Then my front door slammed open. Ron rushes in. That was the first time I was raped. He didn't actually leave his wallet at my place.
Skylight to my nightmare.
We have just got a new skylight put in. It was designed to be over our bed so as we fell asleep we could see the stars and be at peace. Or that was our plan. It was amazing for a couple months. Then one night I was laying there watching the stars and I saw someone's face peer over to look at us. I screamed and my husband woke up. I point up and the man was gone. This happened a couple more times. Both times my husband thought I was crazy, but I wasn't. The second time I took a picture with my phone to show him. From there we bought security cameras and set them up. About a week went by and our security cameras picked up something that made me hate our neighbor. The older man who lived alone would slow walk over to our house, set up a ladder and go to our skylight to watch us. We took this to the police and he was arrested. Shortly after we moved to a place with no skylight.